Everybody, welcome back. It's been a while. Derek, how are you? Friggen Good Politics.
Great. I'm excited to do an episode. It's been a while, Greg. It's been on me. I've been very slack on this podcast, but there's just too much news happening with this pipeline deal
It's
and all the
exciting.
reaction to it. So we got to talk about it. The only other thing I'll talk about quickly is my Toronto Maple Leafs, beloved. Um, they're not doing so good.
Yeah,
They're
not
tough,
not doing
tough
so
season.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you could say that.
they're gonna turn it around and win the cup. That's what Berube did the last time, as
Yeah.
he was dead last, and the Leafs were dead last, but they won on Tuesday, and so they're not dead last. They're third last, I think now.
Okay.
So we're doing good.
We can
We're-
work with that.
yeah, it's fine. And your Packers won last night too, so that's
Yeah,
good.
Pack's on a 3-game winning streak right now. I don't know how this happened, but the Bears are at the top of the NFC North, so we've got
Yeah,
some work to do there.
well, and like
Um,
Kansas City is like they're terrible somehow.
yeah, I know. I remember we had this conversation before where you love dynasty teams,
Yeah,
but it's definitely been some successful hate watching of the Chiefs this
yeah, you're the hate watchers of
I'm hate
Kansas.
watching. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I want to get into this pipeline deal and get your reactions and show some other people's reactions. So let me just
Yeah, let's dive
explain
in.
this a little bit. So for those on audio, you can't see this, but I'll explain it. But this is Premier Smith's tweet about it. So she's talking about there's a historic deal and it's supposed to bring a pipeline to the West Coast, 1.4 million barrels per day in pipeline capacity, almost tripling Alberta oil exports to Asian markets. So that's a big deal. I think the big news story for the province here is the net zero energy regulations that were severely limiting the growth of AI data centers and
Yeah.
just overall trying to have power for the province and not have brownouts and blackouts like we had last year, or at least risk of them. Those are
Yes.
gone. So that's great. The oil and gas production cap, that's gone now. That's a significant movement. Obviously, a new pipeline, but we'll talk about, there's no proponent and all that stuff, the criticism there. And then an expansion of TMX, that pipeline Trans Mountain, that's huge. And then deep water port access. So that's good in the West Coast tanker ban. It's like we're going to get access there. So
Yeah.
all that sounds pretty darn good, right? Like, whoo,
Yeah. On
what's
paper, I'm thrilled.
it's yeah, like when I first saw it, I was like, I'm thrilled as well. I've nothing against this. And then I started to see some of the responses. Let me show this one clip. So Franco Terzano from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation posted this. He's a good friend, and I was like, this concerned me a little bit. So I'll
Yeah.
play the Carney clip here.
But at its core is tightening the tier system, which is the industrial carbon price system here in Alberta, to a level of at least $130 with a pass price from there. What does that mean? It means more than a 6 times increase in the industrial price of carbon, from its effective level, which is much lower than the headline level, the effective level, to the level that's committed in the agreement.
Oh, okay. So this scared me when I saw this,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest. I'll get into why maybe some people don't think it's as scary. Rob Anderson, chief of staff for Premier Smith, kind of clarified some of this. But 6 times the increase to the industrial price on carbon. I don't like the sounds of that.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. So Paul from our team, he made the comment yesterday. We were on a call with a client, and he made the comment that although there's an asterisk at the end of this because he made this statement before.
Hmm.
If you can get Rob Anderson and Stephen Guilbeault into a room and get them to agree on something, what's going on in there? Now, the asterisk on that statement is Guilbeault then quit cabinet over this whole thing,
Yeah.
which we
So
can
that
we can
that's
get
actually
into
a good
more
sign.
later.
That's a
Yeah,
good
so
sign.
that to me that's a good sign actually. I did see someone suggesting yesterday on Twitter or last night that it was somehow a 4D chess move by Carney and Guilbeault that they
Right.
would play out this sort of performative desk overthrowing.
Right. Right.
I'm not sure I buy that. That
No,
seems,
I don't buy
I
that.
think the much simpler explanation is that Stephen Guilbeault is a radical member of parliament. He was a
Hmm.
radical environmental minister who basically he is part of the Mud Hut Brigade who wants
I
us
love
all to
that term.
never use oil and gas again. Shout out to Jason Kenney for coming up with that term. But never
That's a good
use any
term.
oil and gas ever again anywhere.
And live in mud
Um,
huts
and
because
live in mud
that's
huts. That's
yeah,
that's
let's
what
do
you
that.
that's what you would do because like literally everything you use is either touched by or literally made of oil and gas products.
Hmm.
Um, So I thought, okay, well, this is actually a good sign that this guy felt so compelled by his convictions that this deal was so bad for the eco-radical groups that he had to quit. And then we saw Elizabeth May last night on online having an absolute meltdown about it. So that's also a good sign. Um,
Right.
Overall, I'm happy on that. I'd like to think that, getting back to the discussion about the carbon tax or the industrial carbon tax to be specific, that there's probably, I haven't, I read the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, but I didn't, I'd have to go back and reread the details to confirm this, but I believe there's something where the carbon taxes can be offset by things like carbon capture and other sorts
Right.
of
Yeah, that's the Pathways
tools like
project.
that. Yeah, which is the Pathways Project. So I'm sure that Danielle Smith and I know that a lot of these oil and gas companies are very happy to, okay, let us make more things. We'll work with you on the
Right.
technology side to reduce emissions and things like that, which
Hmm.
they've been doing for decades now anyway.
That's right. People
It's
forget that. Yeah.
why, yeah, exactly. It's why Canadian oil and gas is one of the most sought after products
Right.
on the global market because we make it so well and we have all these amazing technologies.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what Rob Anderson clarified. So here's what he said. Just so he was responding to some of the Taxpayers Federation stuff saying,
Hmm.
this is bad, industrial carbon price 6x, all that type of thing. Well, he's saying we're gonna like it's still in the agreement to negotiate that. So that's what Carney's saying. Obviously, that's probably his position, which is a
Yeah.
little scary. But here's what Rob Anderson said. Just some clarification on this, folks. There's no increase in the carbon price on April 1st under the MOU. Okay, good. So that's, you're sort of the same there. Number two, Alberta and the feds will negotiate a new carbon pricing agreement to replace the existing one by April 1st, but the price will not go up on April 1st. Three, the old current agreement had the carbon price going to $170 by 2030, which everyone agrees is impossible and would greatly harm the industry. Yes. Number four, the new to be negotiated carbon price agreement will scale up to eventually reach $130. However, we are negotiating the timeline for that increase in stringency with the feds, with industry at the table. Number five, and I'm almost done here. Alberta heavy industry is almost unanimous in supporting this approach and are very happy about it. So in the meantime, there are no emissions cap or net zero power regs. So let's get investing in building Alberta. So
Yes.
I thought that was good clarity from Rob, and obviously he'd be very involved in these negotiations to say, okay, we're negotiating the carbon price. Obviously, they don't like that, right? Like that's,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to run a fast one by Premier Smith and Rob Anderson. So,
I'd like to think not that,
like,
not to over, like every, what am I trying to say here? I'd like to think that this has been one of Premier Smith's most, like one of the biggest pet issues for Alberta conservative
yeah,
politics for decades, especially over the last decade under Trudeau.
yeah,
So I'd like to think that she wouldn't just sell the farm for nothing, you know what I mean, or for the
correct.
appearance of something which is actually nothing. I'd like to think that they really sat down and hammered this out.
Yeah,
And in light of comments from Minister Tim Hodgson, who's the resources minister,
yeah,
who is himself sort of in the world of oil and gas, where he was referring to the anti-pipeline comments from some of the liberals in BC and elsewhere as naive and ideological, I believe were the words that he used.
right,
So
right.
I'd like to think that there is a lot more common ground here now. There's a lot more understanding about, like, we actually do have to get these products to market. We make them very well. Let's talk it up. And
Hmm.
they're hedging at least the Carney side is hedging their bets by using terms like decarbonized oil and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And we can go back and forth on language there, but my biggest win for this MOU, this memorandum of understanding, for me the biggest win is the shifting of the Overton window. You and I have talked about that
right.
before, Derek,
Yep,
in the
you're
public
right.
sphere. The Overton window, just for a quick reminder, is sort of the area of acceptable language or the acceptable talking points, the things that the culture is allowed, people within the culture, politicians, advocates are allowed to speak about without you immediately being shut down as a radical or fringe or whatever. So
Right, right.
this memorandum of understanding greatly shifts the Overton window on oil and gas energy production in this country. Like comparing where we are today, I remember when we were,
Hmm.
talking about when Carney first was elected and the budgets and the three speeches from the throne, and we're like, holy cow, what a change in tone from the previous 10 years.
Yeah,
And to think about, like, if
significant.
yeah, if you were to tell me, even 5 years ago that by 2025 we'd be doing something like this, I would have laughed you out the room. I wouldn't have believed that it
Right.
could be possible.
That's right. Yeah, and like use the sports analogy, which we do. It's like I feel like this is a game where it's you maybe won 5-4, but people are still considering it a loss for some reason. And it's like, no, we
Hmm.
still won. It's like, well, yeah, we
Yeah.
gave up a couple bad goals, goalie let
Yeah.
in a squeaker and we had a huge breakdown. It was a 2-0 or something. It's like, yeah, sure. Like this sets up a huge battle on the industrial carbon price. And it's like, I was hoping we were sort of done with carbon pricing and the battles on that. I feel like we've been having that for a decade. So it'd be
Yes.
nice to be done that. But, I think the federal liberals, they have real concerns and people they need to satisfy in their caucus. And one already quit,
Yeah.
which hooray for Canada on Stephen Guilbeault.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
to
that's,
be clear, real quick, just to make sure that everyone is aware.
oh, yes,
So Stephen Guilbeault, he was the environment minister. Then he was shifted to
under
heritage
Trudeau. Yeah.
minister, which he had actually been heritage minister before as well. Shifted back to that under Carney,
Mhm.
and now he's quit cabinet. That he
Yeah.
hasn't stepped down as an MP, to be clear. Although
Yes.
it's possible that that's coming soon. It's not uncommon for someone to quit cabinet and then step down as an MP because they're sort of two separate things that you're doing there. So we'll see if that happens in the coming days. But either way, great day for Canada and the world as a result that Stephen Guilbeault is no longer at the cabinet table, the major decision-making table of
Right.
Canadian governance.
He basically said, I'm not going to go through his whole giant letter here, but he basically is telling people, okay, you got rid of the emissions cap and clean energy regs, and a number of different things that this was my crowning achievement, and now you're undoing it. And I'm like, yes, we needed to. Like, we're
Yeah,
we're
good.
we're under significant economic threat, and they weren't reducing emissions regardless. And China's increasing emissions at a dramatic amount, and so is India and a bunch of people. Like all the arguments of let's reduce global emissions, not just punish Canadians
Yeah.
for no real gains on the environmental side. So yeah, good to see him gone. And like the people that are sort of saying, "Oh, this was like the 4D move." I'm like, no, like this doesn't happen in politics. Like people don't give up their cabinet posts where they make a bunch of
No.
money and have a bunch of perks and benefits to do this. Like I think he's honestly quite shocked. I think he knew it was coming. Like there was rumors of it coming, and
Oh yeah.
Wilkinson, Jonathan Wilkinson could be the next one to not like
Yeah.
this. But Carney's basically told these guys like, shut up.
Yeah.
dur- as soon as he got elected, and has put them off to the sidelines. So, you know, I'm skeptical of Carney like anybody else is. Like I really am. Federal
Yeah.
liberals saying they're going to do good things for the West is like, don't get too excited. Like we've seen this story before, right?
Yeah.
But it's like this is significant movement, and
Oh
you,
yeah.
you get rid of a guy like Guilbeault at a cabinet. I'm like, that's huge. That allows you to do more things right away. Now,
Yeah.
the other, first of all, shout out to Jason Kenney. I have him here, calling it the Mud Hut crowd on the Green Left is in total shambles. So that's great. Um, Part of the Mud Hut crew here, the brigade, is David Eby. So he's sort of the
Yes.
final piece to this puzzle, and obviously he ain't happy, as we know. I didn't see too much of his reaction. This is the one that caught my attention. But before I go to this clip of him sort of blaming the agreement on other things that went down, what was your thoughts on Eby and how he's been responding recently?
Yeah, I actually one thing that someone noted, and I don't actually see this confirmed, but someone thought they saw that the Canadian flag had been taken down off the legislature in BC
Oh, really?
after this announcement had been made. I didn't get that confirmed, but if true,
Probably not.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, a hilarious sort of petty move on David Eby's part. Yeah, so to be clear, David Eby's been probably the leader of the Mud Hut Brigade so far. At
He's
least
the
on
new
the
leader
on
with
he's the new
Guilbeault
sorry,
gone,
I guess yeah, he is the new leader who's sort of taken
self-appointed.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been on a like tirade against pipelines lately. Absolutely. No, pipeline will never be allowed through BC, yada yada yada, which is stupid on multiple fronts. A, because the people of BC actually want pipelines. It's like 60
Yeah.
30. I think
Yeah.
the polling was literally done, I think, a week ago on this. It might even have been sooner than that, and I'm sure other polling firms will be doing this
Yeah, no, it's
again.
pretty
But it's
consistent that it's the
yeah,
vast majority of British Columbians want more pipelines because they realize
correct.
the benefits for BC and the Canadian economy and our energy sovereignty and security.
Yeah, exactly. For all those various reasons. And then number two, it's not even his jurisdiction. The
Yeah.
provincial, and he's a lawyer. Like, to be clear, David Eby's a lawyer, and this legal
Hmm.
fight happened ages ago. To bringing him up again, Jason Kenney was part of the legal fight to confirm vis-a-vis the federal court that it is federal jurisdiction to determine whether energy can move between interprovincial barriers, and that is
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
part of, that's part of the Constitution. It's 100% federal jurisdiction. So David Eby has no leg to stand on in saying that no pipeline can move through BC.
So just the politics around David Eby here is like, why is this guy so against all this stuff? He's smarter than this, I think. He sets up this false equivalency that all the other, if we pursue a pipeline from Alberta, we're going to kill all the other LNG investments and whatnot going on in BC. And I'm like, that is a political easy out for him to be like, oh, because like his supporters hate pipelines. So
Yeah.
he has a coalition with the Green Party. The Green Party hates pipelines. So he can't say, "Oh yeah, we should do this." So he's kind of stuck here fighting this battle. He might not even want to fight this battle personally, but he probably has to politically to keep his coalition together.
Yes.
We've talked a lot
Yeah.
about coalition building. You have to keep your coalition together. I'm surprised Mark Carney hasn't had more pushback from his coalition other than Guilbeault resigning, but no one else has really been like, "Oh, I'm leaving the Liberal Party." Like, where do they go right now? Like, did
Yeah.
they go to the NDP party that's in shambles federally? Probably not.
Probably
But
not.
David, so this is going to be a big fight with David Eby. He's already fought this, and I, I just thought this clip is really funny. To give you a little backstory on this clip, so Nutrien, a massive potash producer in Saskatchewan, has decided that they're going to ship their potash through the United States and do a port off of the coast of the U.S. rather than going through BC. And they cited, this huge laundry list of things that it would have taken years more and cost way more to go through BC because of their anti-development policies. And this is David Eby's response to that.
Why I'm anxious about this proposed pipeline project from Alberta being a distraction is that we've already seen that happen. Nutrien, a large potash producer from Saskatchewan,
Just
was
as I said.
involved in conversations with the federal government, with the government of Saskatchewan, about where to export their potash from. A project that would result in significant jobs in British Columbia, would secure the people of Saskatchewan's access to global markets if it stayed in Canada, and would also reduce the risk of Donald Trump putting tariffs on Canadian potash going through the United States. They were making a decision about which port to export through. Unfortunately, instead of having conversations with British Columbia about this project, the Premier of Saskatchewan says he was engaged with Premier Smith about this pipeline project proposal. Because of that, in my opinion, Nutrien made the decision to ship out of Washington State instead of out of British Columbia. Premier Moe and I should have been working together on addressing bottlenecks by encouraging the federal government to invest in new rail infrastructure, the Massey Tunnel, bottlenecks to our ports that Nutrien cited as one of the reasons why they decided to go to Washington State. So my concern about this project being a distraction to real projects and real opportunities for Canadians, unfortunately, I've seen that happen once already.
All right. So he's basically blaming the failure of his anti-development government on Premier Smith and Moe talking about this pipeline deal. I'm sure Moe had conversations with or Saskatchewan officials. Like, this was a long process that Nutrien went on for this.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, Moe, like how he's citing is like Moe was too busy talking about pipelines in Alberta and distracted from talking to BC. It's like all this deal all happened in a week. It's like this is like the coach blaming the ref for his team being terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it was all the ref's fault. They gave us one more penalty, and it's like you lost 7-1. Okay, like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not the ref's fault. It's like you would have lost no matter what. So
Well, talk about being like a not able to read the room here, and B, being so unself-aware about what's going on here. Like, David, it's you. You're the one going on national TV multiple times in the last couple of weeks, shouting from the rooftops about how no pipeline will ever be allowed through BC, and then you turn around and are shocked that a pipeline doesn't want to come through BC. Like,
mhm.
do you want me to draw it out on a board for you, Mr. Eby? Like, holy cow! It's,
I
when,
Yeah, I think these politicians, people don't realize that signals from politicians matter to the business community. So if
Yeah.
you're constantly talking anti-development, anti, it's like that doesn't give them confidence to be like, for sure, I should work with these guys. Like, even though they're way more difficult than somebody else, for like, so it's like they're already way more. BC is really difficult to work with business wise. We work with lots of businesses in BC, and I have lots of friends that work in BC, and we have staff there. It is harder to do business in BC than other provinces. It just is.
Yeah.
And so you have that, and then you have an anti-development premier that's coming and saying bad things about development and all the things that want to get done, and has these false equivalencies. Like, people aren't stupid. Like, they know this guy has a radical left wing of his base, and he's going to have to talk about it. So it's like, I'll go to somewhere that will welcome me and help me rather than people down talking me all the time. And that's
Yeah.
just how it is. Like that. So the politicians send these signals, they matter. Signals matter, people. Like the fact that, a politician will be like, hey, we're open for business, that means something. Like, you can criticize Carney for lots of things. His changing of the tone from Trudeau will help investment in Canada. It won't be immediate, but it will significantly help after 10 years of telling everyone to go screw themselves when it comes to investment in Canada. And we need it. Our economy is very badly behind. So the only other comment I was going to make was, I'm curious of how this agreement impacts all the other provinces with a price on carbon, for on the industrial side, because what does that mean for Ontario and their industries, or Quebec aluminum,
Yeah.
or how is that all going to work? And is sort of like Alberta and the feds negotiating that sort of on behalf of Canada? Like, I don't really understand how that's going to work. So I guess we'll get more clarity on that in the future. But very interesting announcement.
Yeah,
And
yeah. To that point, actually, like that's why I'm my biggest or the reason that I'm most happy about this agreement is that it again shifts the Overton window, so that
yeah,
we can now all these other provinces can hopefully go to the feds and say, like, okay, well, if Alberta can cut a deal, can we cut a special deal? Like, we would like to do that, please.
right.
So I would love to see Ontario. Quebec. Although I know Quebec already has their own sort of like carbon credit cap and trade system or
Right.
whatever, but still, I would love to see them go to the feds, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, like all these places that have premiers who've been on the record and saying we want more development, and if we
Mm-hmm.
can get that, then great. Now for me, the most interesting sort of next cultural step is to see where the federal party goes from here. So,
Right.
we saw Guilbeault leave and exiting the party. We've heard rumblings about several other people wanting to exit, and some for different reasons than others. Melanie Jolie sounds like she's possibly going somewhere else, although she's publicly denied that, obviously, and a few others. So it'll be interesting to see how the caucus realigns behind this sort of
Yes.
because I saw a whole whackload of lefties calling Mark Carney sort of the second coming of Stephen Harper, who's been the liberal bugaboo for 10 plus years now.
Mm.
Every problem under
Ooh,
the sun they blamed under
yeah.
Stephen Harper. So if the progressive sort of wing of the Canadian electorate views Mr. Carney as the second coming of Stephen Harper, I'm very curious to see how that
Right.
changes the voting intentions, the makeup of the
Right.
caucuses. Do we see some floor crossings, defections, things like that? Interestingly, the NDP, and I can't remember which person in the NDP said it, they don't want Stephen Guilbeault coming over to their party because they see him as a sellout. They see him as someone who what's the word, sort of betrayed his beliefs to join the Liberal Party. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on in the left wing of
Mhm.
Canada that will be interesting to watch play out over the next, well, at least several months and years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it depends on how the NDP does. Like, they're a party in
Yeah,
shambles right now, but maybe they
yeah.
get some momentum if you have Guilbeault go over there and some other people that would typically go to the Liberals, and they're like, I don't have a home there anymore. And that would be significant. So we'll see. Nice
Hmm.
MASH strategy cup, by the way,
Yeah, yeah,
Greg,
yeah.
for people that can't see it. He's got a beautiful Yeti MASH strategy cup. So good branding. Good branding.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Mr. Tobin. I
Yeah.
I know it's been a while, but it's like this was too big. I had to get some stuff out. It's like I just thought it was very interesting, and people are asking me about it, and
Yeah.
I wanted to do a little more research to make sure I understood, and there'll be lots more to come on this. This will set up a battle for the next couple of
Yes.
years, and hopefully it is a good one that means good things for our country. Is my hope. I'm leaving you
Yeah,
with hope on a Friday.
Yeah, I did. It's given me like I'm gonna be riding. I rode the when Canada beat America in the Four Nations in February. I rode that high for like a solid month and a half. So I'm
Yep.
gonna ride the Guilbeault quitting high for. I
Oh,
probably won't be that long, but it'll be at least a week. So I'm happy. I'm a happy guy.
good man. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So my Leafs are terrible, right? But the
Yeah.
Riders won. So
Riders won.
Saskatchewan Roughriders, Grey Cup champ.
I'll give you guys the last time the Riders won, sadly, was in 2013 when they beat Hamilton. Very sad for me. But
Oh
this
yeah, sorry about
time,
that.
this
Yeah,
time, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It was a long time ago.
it's okay.
Literally feels like an entire lifetime ago, 2013. But
Yeah.
you guys beat the Alouettes, who beat Hamilton to
Mhm.
go to in the Eastern Final. So I was very happy to see them destroy the Liberal Alouettes.
I was my favorite thing about it. Like, I don't have that much against the Alouettes, other than when they used to have Anthony Calvillo that just toasted everybody in the league because he was so stinking good.
Yeah.
He was amazing. But the fact that we won in the Bombers Stadium and all the Bombers fans were like
Yeah.
just crying and moaning. That was like my favorite part. And they had this tweet after the Riders won. It's like, well, at least someday the sun will explode and burn us all, and there'll be nothing left. And
Shout
that's
out to their
great social
social
media
team.
content.
Yeah, oh my
Good
gosh.
job,
Shout, the
social
guy,
team.
whoever
Yeah.
that guy is, Bombers, please give that guy a raise because he deserves it.
Yeah, because like if the Bombers won the Grey Cup in Mosaic Stadium in Regina, I'd be like, oh, like that.
Yeah.
That's hard to take. Like
I was
the
trying to explain it to
of
some
all,
friends. Like, imagine your neighbor like came over to your house and claimed your wife in your own house. Like that's what it's like for the poor
yeah, you
Bombers to have.
just kind of like moved in, right? And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, okay, this hurts a lot. Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty bad. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, Mr. G Tobes, and
Yes.
I hope everyone has a lovely snowy weekend in Western Canada. Anyways, and I hope there is hope on the horizon. I'm not saying there's a lot of hope, but I hope there's hope at least. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Derek. Thanks for the chat. And yeah, let's have some of that high grade hopium as much as we can get of it.
So much hopium needed. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right. Take care, everybody.